Welcome into the 2024-25 Fordham men's basketball season preview. I'm Nick Guzman alongside Lou Orlando and Chaz McAdams. We are your broadcasters for Fordham men's basketball this upcoming season. Guys, we're so close to the season opener against St. John's. So exciting.
Monday. And you could not dream of a more exciting start to the season or a more difficult start to the season. St. John's on Monday, Seton Hall on Saturday. And this season celebrating 100 years in the Rose Hill Gym. A lot of storylines, a lot to be excited about.
Narratives
So many
on narratives on
to
narratives.
talk about
So
on
many.
air.
It's just like the stage is set for us to yap, and that's what we're
going
good
to
at.
do.
That's what we're good at. Yeah, I'm really excited though. Should be a great season. A lot of talented players ready to dominate the A10.
We're going to be joined by Fordham head coach Keith Urgo a little bit later, but for right now, take a look at this awesome conversation we got to have with Will Richardson and Jahmere Tripp here in the studio. Welcome back into the studio. Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. Pleased to be joined now. Jahmere Tripp and Will Richardson joining us in the studio. Guys, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having us, man.
So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, you guys are both returnees. You were both here last year. Last season obviously didn't go the way everybody hoped it would, 13-20, 6-12 in the A10. I'm curious in your guys' mind, like what went wrong last year and what needs to change after last season?
You want to start?
Yeah. I feel like what went wrong with our team last year, I feel like talent-wise, we could compete with anybody, and I feel like everybody on the team thought that. I just felt like when it came to connectivity and just being one unit and stepping on the same beat, we had trouble doing that. But we had found it at the end of the year where we had won that first game against Davidson in the tourney. I just feel like this year we kind of changed that, and the people we have in the locker room are like we're talented and we're connected. So I feel like we could go far with that.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. Just less egos than last year.
Yeah.
Kind of make it easier. A lot of guys just get along. This year, everything's just way smoother, and that was something we lacked last year. So I definitely feel like this year is going to be way better just because of that fact alone. So
Obviously losing a lot of like your older guys. Like you lose Kyle, you lose Trell. Like who do you think stepped up in the locker room like to be like the guy, kind of like the next man up leader?
I feel like Jaffe did a good job with that, but I feel like all the returners kind of have that like mentality. Like we was there last year, we know how it feels, and kind of we just all like step up together. Kind of not like depending on one person, but we all know we have to
Each other.
Yeah, feel me. So kind of that's how I look at it. I feel like I know I gotta go. I feel like I could be a Kyle Rose, he could be a Kyle Rose. Like it's multiple because we always with him last year. We watched him, and I feel like we all got that from him. So
I agree with that. I feel like as a unit, like we don't rely on one person to lead us. We rely on each other, and we're going to lead each other, and we're going to hold each other accountable, and that's what makes us good.
Guys, so many new exciting additions for you guys. Jackie Johnson from UNLV, Matt Zona, who you played with in high school at Bergen Catholic. What impact have these new guys had on the group so far?
Big impact. I feel like since the summer when they first came in, like their impact was just like it kind of affected all of us and helped all of us become better players, like all the returners. Like Jackie with his scoring and being aggressive, it helped me and Jaffe a lot. Matt helping with the bigs, helping Abdul, pushing Abdul to be better, pushing Jaden to be better. I just feel like them being with us helped us a lot.
no, yeah, definitely. Just know he's a senior. Like it's his last year too. He's coming in greedy, hungry. He's trying to have a good year. He's trying to, and he's always gonna push guys like Jaffe and Will at the point guard spot, and that's kind of what it was. Like as soon as they got here, Matt came, push and do. We kind of just had battles like every day in practice in the summer. So that was something that just made us a way better team off the rip first summer session.
And you see just walk me through your mentality when you see obviously opening St. John's Seton Hall is not like a normal A10 schedule. Like there are not a lot of A10 teams that have the confidence to do that. Like what? Just walk me through your guys' thought process when you first saw that.
Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that echoes what we got from Josh. He was like the mentality this year's to kill, and Jaffe is like it's a revenge tour this year. Just like how ready are you guys to when you guys see that you're ranked, the A10 preseason polls is ranking you guys 14th. Like how much motivation does that give you guys to go out and ball?
A lot. Like we already at the bottom, so it's just like now we just gotta prove everybody else wrong. So it's kind of only mindset. Like he said earlier, like we knew how good we were last year, even though we had certain obstacles. And now we just got to prove the same thing this year and just actually get it right. So
When you're at the bottom, it's only one way to go.
Yep.
It's up.
Yeah.
Simple.
And even with like all the new additions you guys have, you guys are still returning 60% of your scoring from last year. So in your mind, like how important is that kind of continuity from one year to the next?
I mean, it feels good. Like we're kind of living in it right now.
Yeah.
Just seeing how everyone scores the ball and how everybody kind of knows the plays. It's just something that's easier and is making practices run smoother because we got a bunch of returners, guys that have the knowledge already from last year. So the freshmen are doing a good job picking up what we're trying to teach them from last year because we were already here. So we don't waste as much time going over certain things, and it just makes everything smoother for real.
Will, I kind of want to get your perspective because with Tripp out, we've seen like I'm so from what I saw in the preseason games, like RP and Zach like kind of taking some of those minutes. Like how nice is it to know that you have guys like that you can rely on when like a next man up mentality where you can just like go.
Yeah, it's really good because like with our team last year, we had like next man up mentality, but it wasn't like we're happy for that person. It was sometimes like why wasn't me, and I feel like now like especially with those two guys, Zach and RP, like with Tripp being hurt and them picking up like just being hungry, being ready, and still encouraging Tripp like, yo, we need you to come back. We can't wait for you to come back. Like that's big. Like you don't see that a lot.
And Jahmere, entering year 2 here at Fordham, you're out right now injured, unfortunately, but you were a key contributor as a freshman. So what do you feel in your development is the next step here after a whole year of experience of A10 basketball under your belt?
Main thing for me this summer and still now just was shooting.
Yeah.
That opens up a lot of my game. I was kind of not a slasher, but kind of just like a big guard, playmaker, and I felt like I did those things well last year. Obviously still working on it because everything can be improved, but my shooting, just being able to stretch the floor and not only be one-dimensional and just be able to make free throws and hit big shots when needed. So really just been working a lot on my shooting, like making sure that's always feeling good. So
yeah, you guys are both obviously good defenders, but I think you both are on the court to just like put the ball in the basket. And Urgo is obviously a coach that is like defense. You got attitude system and stuff like that. Like, how do you think Urgo has not changed your guys' game, but like made your games more whole, more complete, like as a coach? Because he's such a defensive-minded coach, but also does it like he likes to recruit a lot of on-ball scoring. He's got Jack, he's got Jaffe, he's got you too. So like, how's that dynamic kind of change your guys' game?
He made me want to guard. He made me take pride in guarding people one-on-one. Like in high school, my biggest thing where like coaches seen was he's good offensively, but what he could do defensively. So once I got here, like Urgo just pushing me to be like the best defensive player I could be on and off the ball, and like now I'm willing to be a defender instead of just playing one side of the ball. It helped a lot.
No, yeah, just knowing that you got to play defense to be on the floor with him, and he gonna let you like rock out because he know we're talented offensively. It's kind of like that's the only thing you have to do is just play defense. Everything on offense gonna come. We've been natural scorers, and the game kind of just flows after just playing defense. So kind of was easy, kind of was simple, but definitely like you gotta learn to play hard when you're coming out of high school. You're the best player on your team. You don't really have to guard the best defenders, kind of things like that. But I feel like that's a competitive edge. Just being able to say you can stop someone is a really good attribute to add to your game. So.
And we know Coach Urgo uses the attitude system, and attitude's kind of like the mantra for you guys. But can you guys explain a little bit what that means specifically for the context of your team?
Basically, attitude is like moving on to the next play. Like, stuff's not perfect. Stuff's not going to be perfect in a game. Like, we're humans. We make mistakes. And attitude is just moving on to the next play, having a next play attitude, doing all the dirty work, the little things. Like we call them attitude plays, like diving on the floor, charges, getting loose balls, like stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. We take pride in doing, and I feel like that's what attitude really is.
Like that Ryan Pettis play.
Yeah, I was about to say, kid from California, you guys are up, and he's diving on the floor. That was the most hype
you guys
play on
all
the
hyped up.
Yeah. That was more hype than the Jackie step back at the end of the shot. Like, you guys, like, do you feel like, because I feel like, because attitude is obviously under, like, Jay Wright, and so, like, his coaching tree, and I feel like there are some schools that kind of take it and are maybe not as bought in. Do you guys feel like the team is, like, totally bought into attitude this year?
You seen that dive?
Yeah.
That's all you got to see right there. That dive showed how bought in. And he's a freshman doing that. When you see a freshman doing that as a vet and an older guy, you going to want to play hard for him because he playing hard for you. So it's like, that's kind of how it goes. It's like hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for Will, last year wasn't necessarily the season you wanted on a personal level after, really strong freshman season. So why are you personally confident that this year's going to be a bounce back one for you?
I'm just a positive person. I always think positive. I always think
Great place to be.
Yeah. One of the biggest things like that I take pride in and preach is great things are coming my way. You know, I put trust in God. I put trust in the work I put in my whole life, and like basketball is something that like it's fun. Like I've been doing it my whole life, so I know great things are gonna come. It's just a matter of time.
How cool is it to play with Zona again after being high school teammates?
It's great. Like,
oh man,
yeah, that's my dog. Like that's my guy. Like from when I first met him, like when I took my visit to my high school, like I was walking around with him. Like we built a bond that's probably for life, and like when we're on the court together, like it don't change. Like we know where we know where each other are at on the court. We know our hot spots, and it's just like that's my guy.
So you bring a different wisdom, like coming from ACC. Like I know it's like Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And, like, he was playing, like, 10 minutes, but, like, still, like, 10 minutes a game in the ACC. Like, that's, like, a different breed.
Yeah, for real. Like, he actually just got on me today. I had done something in practice, and he told me after, like, Matt's someone who, even though he might seem, like, quiet or cool, he'll really get on you if you're not bringing it every day. And, like, that's my vet, like, from when I was in high school. So, like, knowing that he could still do that, and, like, maybe, like, RP or one of the other freshmen might not hold me accountable, I know he always will because he's been around me since I was in high school.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about the Rose Hill Gym. You know, 2 years ago, Will, you were your freshman year. Crowds were absolutely crazy. Student section going wild. I mean, it was really a whole movement here on campus, the run you guys went on. Last year wasn't quite as rowdy in the stands. What would be your message to the fans to try to get that atmosphere back that we had your freshman year?
That's on us. Like we can't let teams come in here and beat us at home and then expect you guys to come and support us. Like that starts with us. Fans are gonna be fans, and when we're winning, I expect you guys to support us. And when we're not winning, I expect you guys to get on us to win games. Like that's how it goes. And if we're not winning games, I don't expect you guys to be still cheering us on the way my freshman year when we were winning like that. So that's on us, and we got to be better.
Ooh, I like that.
Of course.
Tripp, like. New York, you've probably been asked this a million times by like Fordham media, but I just want to get it from you on this. Like, you obviously Fordham maybe is not like New York basketball stable, but just like being able to play in your home city. Like how cool is that? Like being able to have those home connections socially, like on and off the court, getting to bring in family every home game. Like just what's that like for you? You too, Will, like being from Jersey.
Nah, yeah, it's a great thing. High school I didn't really play home too much. I went to a prep school, so. Kind of just feeling it again. Last time I was playing in front of my parents and stuff like that was like my freshman year. So it's definitely great having to just after the game go see my mom and see my friends and stuff like that, and just know it's super easy for friends and family to get to games, and just knowing they're supporting me because this is where I'm from. So it kind of embracing me a little bit, but this year I feel like it's gonna be better. Just gonna be on the court more, gonna be winning more games, and you know it's just gonna be 10 times better than it was last year.
Yeah, just like Tripp said, you know, being from somewhere close, it kind of was like knowing like if I need a mental break because, you know, life be hard or like, you know, things happen. Like I know I'm 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
I can go see my mother, my father, or my family, my friends. Like just knowing I still have that right there over the bridge, like it means a lot.
And I want to ask specifically about Jackie because in those two exhibition games, I mean, he balled out.
Yeah, dog.
I mean, that step back he hit in the second game to beat the shot clock from way beyond the arc. He just seems like a dog is the right word.
Yeah.
But what's your guys' impressions of him so far?
Dog
yeah.
for sure. But he's a hard worker. Like he's always in the gym. He's in the gym a lot of the time. When I'm going to work out, he's probably finished or he's going. So definitely just seeing him in the gym, and then I see what he does on the court. You can see that it translates. So it's kind of like, you know, you just get to watch it. Really, you just got to watch it. That's the only thing you can do. So
exactly what Tripp said. Like he's someone who works extremely hard. So like the stuff he does on the court, like I've seen him work on that multiple times. So it's like I don't be surprised because I know he worked on that. That's something he do. That's why I say dog, like dog.
Who's your favorite walk-on? Who's your favorite walk-on and why?
I love all of them equally. They all my dogs.
They all my dogs, but J-Mo.
You live with J-Mo. You came in with him, so that makes sense.
I came in with J-Mo.
They all my dogs. I love them all equally. Like they all cool. Like yeah.
You like the work they put in? Like I feel like that's like such an important. Like no one talks about that college basketball. It's like walk-ons, especially when you have like 3 or 4. It's just like it adds such a layer of practice where you just have people that you can rely on, and like the whole going at each other in practice, iron sharpens iron mentality. Just having people, like, can you just speak to some people that might be ignorant about how important walk-ons are to a college basketball program?
Yeah, like for the average person who's not in Division I basketball who doesn't know, a lot of walk-ons, the average person is not even close to the skill level.
Oh my gosh, bro!
It's not even close to the skill level, and a walk-on works probably harder than people on the team. And a lot of people don't know that and understand how hard it is to be a walk-on. You have to be a selfless person. You have to be someone who doesn't care whenever their time comes, or they're always ready, always prepared. Like, being a walk-on is just as difficult as being a basketball player in a Division I.
If not harder.
Exactly. So the average person, like, they're just being ignorant, and they don't really know what it's like to be in those shoes until you're there.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to ask about Jaden Smith, because just physically, he's a freak. I mean, he's so long.
Dog.
And, I mean, we saw a little bit of his impact in those exhibition games, getting blocks and just causing chaos in the paint. What kind of impact does a guy like that have defensively at 6'11"?
Dog.
He's ready.
I mean,
huh?
we already seen how he blocks shots.
Yeah.
And he's still learning a lot of stuff. Like, he picked up on a lot of things fast, but there's still a lot of things he struggles with in practice. And I just can't wait to see him once he figures everything out and the game is just that much slower for him. And it's just going to be way easier. He's going to be able to be in his right spots and even defend better. So definitely that's something I'm waiting to see for sure.
And he could do it all. He could shoot, dribble, pass.
Yo, I saw him, and when he took that 3 against Holy Cross, I was like, he's ready to take threes.
Nah,
He
yeah.
could
I'm
shoot, dribble, pass,
He's shooting it.
block shots, defend, dog.
And the last thing I want to touch on is Coach Urgo, because, I mean, you guys have both played under him now for multiple years. Just, number one, how good is it having someone like him as a head coach, and what do you think he's done for you personally as a player?
For me, he an energy guy. Like, when we down, he's gonna talk to us. He's real lot of energy jumped in his body. So he kind of translate that to us and just push that through us. He talks to us about things we need to know, and he's a good leader. He's been around a lot of good coaches, and he has the right knowledge. So we just kind of just try to trust what he's telling us, and I do, because of the people he's been around, and I know he has experience, and he's not gonna tell me anything to do bad. So I kind of just see him as a leader, and kind of like a mentor too, because the energy he has with us, how he talks to us, is kind of more like big brother. It's not always like, coach stuff. So
His relationship with him and mine is different. For y'all that don't know, if y'all was to see our relationship, y'all would think we just genuinely don't like each other. But, like, he pushes me to be the best person I could be every single day. And even the days I don't even want to hear it. And he knows the days I don't want to hear it. He's still going to be on me about the little things and just trying to help me not even just be a better basketball player. And the reason I respect him so much, even though we kind of bump heads sometimes and we'll go back and forth with each other, he helps me want to become a better man in life. Like, not even just basketball, helping me with what I do off the court, helping me with my principles in life, what I stand on, my morals, just helping me, like, enhance my core values to become a better person. And that's why I love him. That's my guy right there, like, and I appreciate him so much for the stuff he's done for me and the stuff that's coming in the future. So, I love him. That's my guy.
Good. Will, Jahmere, thanks so much for coming in and
thanks for
doing
having
this.
us, my guy.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
guys.
Lou Orlando, joined by Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Urgo. Coach, season starts Monday. When do you start feeling the nervous energy, the excitement, all that stuff?
You know what? Honestly, I've been feeling it for a little bit. We've been so excited to get going here. I think the exhibitions were the way we went about them anyway. We did them just like dress rehearsals, right? 2-day prep, 1-day prep. Pregame meals the same way we would always do them. Walkthroughs the same way we would always do them. So our guys are more. They feel like this is more of their third game, honestly. But when there's more fans in the stands and it's opening night and you're on national television, it's obviously going to be pretty exciting. But we're chomping at the bit. This is. I was doing a radio show last night with Andrew Bogish, and we've been really going since June against each other. These guys haven't had a whole lot of time off, so to only get 2 dress rehearsals for the real thing, these guys are fired up and ready to go.
Is there a different element? You get the 2 exhibitions there against different teams. Is there a different element when you're not playing against each other?
Oh, there definitely is. I mean, we've been going since literally June 1st. Honestly, our returners have been going since 2 weeks after the season ended last year. So, as soon as we lost to VCU, 14 days later, we're in the gym, and we're getting about 4 weeks of individuals and work in, and then they get almost 2 weeks, only 2 weeks in May, and then we're back here for both summer 1 and summer 2, going at it with each other, and we have everybody at that point. And then you get about 3 weeks in August, and then it's on again, right? With the new rule of 30 practices within 40 days of your first game, I mean, the season officially is starting so much earlier, but, you know, you're really only going from 1 hour and 15 practices to close to 3 for a little while, so it definitely is a difference, but we've honestly been beating each other up since June 1st.
Looking at those exhibitions, Jackie Johnson, 20 points, 23 points in those 2 games. Did you realize that you had that level of an explosive score on your hands right from the jump?
Yeah. I mean, we played against him twice as a freshman, right? So he came into our building, he hit 3 threes, and 2 of them were really deep. You know, he was known as kind of a microwave coming out of high school, and he performed like that the first, I think we were second or third game in. We had to beat Duquesne at the buzzer, and then when we went to their place, he hit a few more deep threes as well. And just watching his film at UNLV the last 2 years, I mean, he's instant offense. So we knew what we had. He's one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen. He's just got such an aggressive nature. And, you know, he missed his first 3 or 4 shots the other day against UMBC, but he's in the gym so often that he doesn't let that faze him. He just keeps going and going and going. And he could go off pretty quickly, you know, and it's not just one way. He can score on all 3 levels. He's fast enough to get to the rim. He's got a great float game, and then obviously he's capable for knocking down threes as well. So really excited he's on our side now.
Looking at what you have on your hands, I see 3 very dynamic guards, Jaffe, Will, Jackie. They're a little undersized. Have you given any thought to how you're going to utilize them this season? Are there long stretches you're going to see all 3 of them out there? Because we got to look at that in the exhibition, and it looked pretty good.
Yeah, there's no question. Obviously, they you know, they allow us to spread the floor with 3 guys who can knock down shots, pass, dribble, and shoot, and really a 4th in Ramad, who's a great 3-point shooter as well. And, you know, it allows us to spread the floor a lot. And then when you have Matt Zona at the 5, now you got 5 guys who can all pass, dribble, and shoot. So, you know, for us, it's about the defensive end. So those guys got to be tough and physical. And then when a shot goes up, you know, we got to make sure we rebound. We did not do a great job of that the first 2 exhibitions. And when you're playing small like that, you gotta be a little bit more physical. And we also switch on the defensive end. So, you know, if we can handle that on the defensive end, you'll see a lot more of that. But if not, you know, we'll have to do more combinations of 2 guards. But right now they're performing at a very high level, and they're learning how to play with each other, which has been great.
Defensively, I thought Will was a real standout in the exhibition games. And when he came into studio and talked to us, he said, coming out of high school, he felt like when he was getting scouted and recruited, people talked about defense as a liability with him. They didn't know whether or not he could guard. He took that as a point of pride, point of emphasis. I'm going to work on that. How have you seen his defensive ability progress now as a junior?
Yeah, it's definitely improved dramatically. It's one thing that we've talked about him over and over. On the ball, he's very quick. He's fast. He's got a quick twitch. You know, his freshman year, he was just playing with reckless abandon. He was flying through, you know, passing lanes and really playing at a very high level. He's continued to build on that. On the ball, he's very, very good. Off the ball, you know, we all have to continue to get better on the weak side. That's something we've harped on the last 2 weeks since Holy Cross. We got better against UMBC, but something we're going to have to continue to get better, not just Will, but all of us. But really excited about his development. He's also put on some, you know, good amount of muscle, and that allows him to be more physical. So as a freshman, he was pushed around a little bit. You don't see him getting pushed around as much, especially in the post and off the dribble anymore like he was maybe early on as a freshman.
Will gave us, I thought, some really cool notes about your relationship where he said, you know, if you're just an outsider looking in, you might think that we hate each other.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. But he said, you know, he pushes me every single day. There are days he knows I don't want to hear, and he's still going to give it to me, push it to my all. What do you think about your relationship? What are your thoughts on the way that you 2 work together?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're about loyalty here and trust, and we've built a lot of trust over the course of our 4 years. The year we recruited him, and now going into our 3rd year, I mean, you know, we talk a lot. You know, we spend a lot of time together. I spend more time with our players, him specifically, than my own children sometimes. So, you know, my job is to get him to do the things he doesn't want to do in order for him to get to where he wants to go. And he knows that means I'm not supposed to be his friend between the lines. And off the court, one of our 5 standards is accountability. He's not afraid to tell me if I do something. So, we have to hold each other accountable. And I think, that's the only way we're going to continue to build trust as a team. And then obviously in our relationship with Will. And we've built that over the course of our 3 or 4 years together. And he responds to that. And obviously that's something that I'm really proud of. And, our relationship will last for 40 years, not just this 4. So, and that's what we seek out when we recruit guys.
Staying with the guards, you had mentioned at A10 Media Day that you found out after the season Jaffe had a fracture in his foot.
Yeah.
You guys thought it was a sprain. Do you think that hampered him down the stretch? And, what do you think the ceiling is for him this year?
No question it hampered him. He was playing through that pain, and he only sat out a game and a half on a stress fracture. And, you saw at Dayton in a game where it kind of looked like he was either the best player or certainly the second best player on the floor, behind Deron Holmes. Like, he has that explosive nature, and I think he's gotten more comfortable. He's in his second year with us and also knows exactly what the Atlantic 10 is and how physical it could be. So it's not a surprise to him anymore. He's had a tremendous offseason, voted captain by his teammates, and I'm really excited about his maturity, his leadership, and I think the sky's the limit. I'd like him to use his speed and certainly his 46-inch vertical a lot more. I'd like him to come down the lane and dunk like he used to and do some things like that. But really proud with his leadership and his maturity, and I feel like if he continues to develop and be more aggressive, he's definitely, in my opinion, an all-conference guard for sure.
Got a chance to talk to Ramad about how good it was for him to last year work into more of a consistent rhythm, find that role in the lineup, and sees a lot of time in the exhibition games. Thought that was another guy that really stood out. What have you seen from him as progression from his freshman year? What do you think he can do for you guys this year?
Consistency. Mm-hmm. He raises everyone's energy and effort level. That's why he started the last month of the season last year. Very rarely do you see Ramad Dean in the stat sheet with less than 7 or 8 rebounds. And it's because his energy, his effort, his motor is just relentless. And, his ability to knock down open shots. And now he's honestly been our most consistent post presence. When he gets the ball in the post, he physically is mature enough to score, crafty enough to score or get fouled, and he's a good free throw shooter. But I'd like to see him shoot a few more threes. I got on him today, and so did Will, actually, about not getting any threes off against UMBC. I think he, if not led, certainly was one of our top 3 3-point shooters by percentage last season. He's capable of trailing and knocking down some open shots. So we need that from him at the 4 spot. But I'm really excited about his development. But his toughness, his energy is unmatched against pretty much anybody we play. That's what he's done. That's what he'll continue to do. And everybody's got to match that energy for us.
We talked about at the end of the UMBC game the Ryan Pettis play, that hustle play. He dived. You said it was the only thing you talked about in the locker room. After the game, you talked a little bit about the freshman that we saw a lot of, Jaden Smith, Ryan Pettis. What have you seen from those 2 freshmen and that hustle play that we're talking about? Have you seen that up and down the young guys in the lineup?
No question. I think that has to do with our leadership and our maturity. These guys they come in as freshmen, and they have older guys to model, right? And that's a big piece to trying to build something really sustainable as far as a standard of excellence and a sustainable kind of culture and a program that can be successful. And that's why I'm really excited about these guys, because they didn't come in, with big egos. They came in as sponges, and they've really listened to some of the older guys. They're very coachable. I talked about that at the post game, obviously, but also when we watched film the day after, it was the last thing we watched. And, the bottom line is, if you get 17 guys in this program, our 13 scholarships and our 4 walk-ons, and if you get everybody playing with that type of energy and effort, not worried about whatever the score is, up 15, down 15, playing a minute, playing 10 seconds, playing 28 minutes, if they're always thinking about what can I do to make the team better, right, and not thinking about themselves, those types of energy and effort plays are why, we've had so many great memories in this building already in 2 years, and why the fans come out and support us, because they know no matter what's going on, as long as we're playing that hard for each other, we got a chance to beat anybody we play.
Talking about the attitude that you guys preach, this is a question that actually my broadcast partner Chaz McAdams sent to me, and he first started thinking about it when you guys played Holy Cross in the exhibition, and he saw two programs that really preach attitude and speed and hustle and all that stuff. Are you seeing that system that started under Jay Wright spread across the league, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they actually use the word attitude everywhere, but I think it's what every coach wants their program to be. I think, obviously Coach Wright, his 4 out, his 4 guard, 1 in, isn't just now the thing in college. It's clearly the thing in the NBA. So I think what it's done is, allowed a lot of coaches to understand you can win, with all sorts of different types of lineups. As long as your guys are committed to what you're trying to instill, you got a chance. And that's what it is. Is our guys are starting to hold each other accountable to our standard. They're giving maximum energy and effort. And if you're tough and physical and you could spread the floor on offense, you got a chance to really play a fun style of basketball. And I think we're starting to play that way. We've got the depth like that. But, I think every coach dreams of just every guy they put on the floor playing for the name on the front. And that's really what our attitude's all about.
I got one last more for you coming into the season. A10 ranks you 14th out of 15 teams.
Yeah.
You mentioned that to Will and Jahmere, and they both kind of said the same thing about that's a motivator for us. There's nowhere to go but up. We want to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
What do you see in this team that makes you think they're a lot better than the 14th team in the A10?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know who ranks those, right? They're not in our practices. They don't know our locker room. We lost 10 games by 5 points or less last year and shot 65% from the free throw line. So we have a lot more talent, a lot more depth, a lot more experience and maturity. 2 years ago, we were picked 14 out of 15 teams and turned out to be tied for second. So, you just never know. The season is so unpredictable. I will say that the Atlantic 10, in my opinion, this year is arguably as good as it's been since the last time they got 6 teams in, right? And it's so deep. The last 2 years, we've led the nation. I think second in the nation with transfers going out this year. Everybody seems to have stayed and then added some even bigger pieces. So the Atlantic 10 is going to make a lot of noise here in the non-conference. Hopefully it's with us starting on Monday night, but just excited to get going. I don't really pay attention. Everybody starts 0-0, so whatever happens, happens. But I feel like with our maturity, our experience, if we're the best team we can be by the end of the year, I expect to be right in the mix to win a championship.
Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Urgo. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time.
Go Rams.
Great stuff there from Will, Jahmere, and Coach Urgo. Can't thank them enough for taking the time to sit down with us. Once again, Nick Guzman, Chaz McAdams, Lou Orlando. We're your broadcasters for Fordham men's basketball in this upcoming 2024-25 season. And guys, season starts Monday. Away at St. John's and then away at Seton Hall the following Saturday. But I want to touch on first, some of these answers that we got from Will and Jahmere. I think there's a lot of interesting and enlightening stuff in there. The one thing that I thought was interesting was the comment about, there being no more egos in the Fordham locker room. And it seems like everybody this season is on the same page as we head into a new year.
I think that's crucial for a Keith Urgo run program as well, where that at times he's going to tap into this bench and he prides that attitude up and down the lineup. Like you heard Jahmere and Will talk about the Pettis play. But we also heard Urgo talk about that play after the game and the fact that he said that was the only play from a double-digit win over UMBC. That was the only play that he mentioned because it represents what Fordham basketball is supposed to be about. That I think no egos has to be a big part of that. It just seems like, and it's no secret that last year was a disappointment coming off the big year where the Hill was packed and Fordham 25 wins. Last year felt like it might have been toxic because of the losing, maybe because of things that were happening and going on in that locker room. It feels like a much cleaner environment this season that should bode for a better season, you have to think.
Definitely. I think that there's no way that Fordham doesn't improve this year. 14th, I think, is criminal in the A10 preseason poll. And I think that Urgo and the guys' answers, and they give different perspectives, but I think that they echo the same theme, which is like we are much, much, much better than the 14th best team in the A10.
And when we asked Will about, the differences in terms of energy inside the Rose Hill Gym from 2 years ago, the record-setting campaign versus last season, which was more disappointing, and he put it bluntly that if we play better, people are going to show up, which is 100% true. This team last season, disappointing, but when it comes to packing the hill and getting that kind of atmosphere with winning and with fun basketball, that will come. But I think another interesting point was we need a dog counter for
absolutely
for the Will and Jahmere interview. A few different dogs, but one of the dogs I want to focus on, Jackie Johnson. I mean, guys, we saw those 2 exhibition games against Holy Cross and UMBC being Fordham's leading scorer and looking so good. Not just, he's a small guy who's fast. We knew that coming in, but I don't think I knew the shot that he has, the lethal ability from three-point range.
I think, and maybe it's faulty on our part going in, or the average student that you look at a transfer that's a 5'11" guard and you go, does Fordham really need another small guard to the mix? Yes, they do.
They do.
Because this kid, Will is not lying. Like, he's a dog. And I think one of the things that hurt Fordham last year, coming off of the season 2 years ago, where you had players like DQ and Khalid, guys that you put the ball in their hands in the final seconds and you say, hey, go create a shot, go make something happen. There was less playmaking ability last year, and that hurt Fordham offensively, and it shows in the numbers. Jackie Johnson, and we've already seen glimpses of it in the exhibition games, that's someone that you can go, hey, we're putting the ball in your hands, make something happen. I think back to the end of halftime against UMBC, they just had him dribble in front of half court, they set a little screen up there, and then he just went. They got the shot with 1 second left. He's going to be a player they trust to just go out there and create for himself. That's a massive addition for a Fordham team that's going to need a little bit more offensively.
I mean, Jackie's a 3-level scorer that the Rams haven't seen since Darius Quisenberry. So him coming in is very exciting. And I think that there's a certain level of expectations that we didn't think we were going to have. Now that we've seen him in preseason again, it is UMBC and Holy Cross, but still, those shots translate. I mean, he's taken 35-footers in the transition of the offense off those little dribble handoffs from Jaden Smith at the top of the key. So it'll be nice to see a lot of him. I'm also excited to see more Abdu.
Yeah.
5 minutes in the preseason game, fouled out. He played 15, I think. That's going to be massive. So there's a lot that we haven't even seen from this Fordham team yet. We haven't seen Jahmere Tripp play
at all.
No.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy to see when this team is firing on all cylinders.
This forward group is interesting because, right, Elijah Gray transfers, and that is, you want to talk athletic freaks. That was an athletic freak that you could use down low. Ramad Dean has looked amazing so far in the 2 exhibition games. Jaden Smith, maybe more of a raw product, but I think you said it best as well. A 6'11" athlete that can move like that can block shots like that. You heard Will and Jahmere talk about it a little bit. I think he's someone that's going to be in the rotation and is going to be used and has the potential to maybe work into an even larger role. But you have Abdu coming back, and he's on the A10 preseason defensive team. Matt Zona adds a 3-point shooting ability to a forward group that I think kind of needed a little bit more of that. And it's curious to see, he spent 4 years playing in the ACC, and, Chaz, you said it's only 10 minutes a game. You have to think 10 minutes a game in the ACC translates to the A10, and that's a level of experience that should help this forward group.
Yeah, and I want to get your guys' take on these first 2 games coming up against St. John's and Seton Hall, because what a tough 2 games to open up the season with on the schedule, both on the road in hostile territory. So I'm curious, what should we look for as Fordham fans in this game, in this upcoming game against St. John's? Because we know St. John's, really, really good team. Fordham very well might not win this game. But I think there's definitely something we can learn about this group going into hostile territory in Queens and playing against Rick Pitino.
I don't think Coach Urgo is going to be as aggressive as we saw in the preseason games, blitzing the ball screens, because these ball handlers are much more skilled than we've seen at Holy Cross and UMBC. But I think that there is going to be a definite sense that Fordham is going to come out strong. They're going to play fast. They're going to play their game. They're going to try to force both St. John's and Seton Hall to give them the ball a lot, and I think that is going to translate into some buckets and hopefully make these games at least close.
I'm curious how the offense translates to two higher level teams, because we can't look past the fact that the two opponents they played in the exhibition, it's the Patriot League and the America East. That's different than playing St. John's in the Big East. So it's a different level of competition, and one of, I think, the interesting, call it positional battles or lineup things we're going to have to monitor is how does Urgo use his guards? Because I think he's got three excellent ones in Richardson, Jackie Johnson, and Jahmere Tripp. Jahmere Tripp kind of slides under the radar. He fractured his foot last year, and they didn't realize it. They thought it was a sprain, so he played a good chunk of the A10 conference play into the tournament on a fractured foot, and maybe that explains why he didn't feel as explosive down the stretch. Jahmere Tripp could be a huge X factor for this team, but can you play those three guards, three small guards, especially against teams like St. John's and Seton Hall that are going to have strong height? Are those guards going to have a bit of a tougher time against two very athletic teams? I'm really curious to see how an offense that showed really promising flashes, but a lot of it runs through their guards, how that's going to translate again. Potentially the two best teams they'll play outside of maybe the Sunshine Slam.
And it's definitely going to be interesting light, because I think that maybe provides us a lens into Atlantic 10 play a little bit and how this Fordham team might line up, because your three of your key scorers being the size that they are in Jackie Johnson, Jahmere Tripp, and Will Richardson, it gives you a dilemma, because do you prioritize just the pure raw ability to put the ball in the basket, or do you prioritize maybe matching up a little bit better from a size perspective? It's
curious because the exhibition games, right, Will, Jahmere, and Jackie all started together, and it worked offensively, but neither Holy Cross or at UMBC really had size or talent down low that you worry about. UMBC had a good center that transferred over from Columbia, but across the board, they don't have the consistent height, the consistent length that you're going to see in the A10. Chaz, this is something you've talked about with us already for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think that A10 is the seventh best conference in America. I think it's only it's true. I think it's only behind the Mountain West in terms of mid majors. Then there's no way you can look at the Atlantic 10 and say, I don't know if you can start three players under 6'2" in the A10. I just don't know if that'll translate.
It's going to be tough.
I think you have to pick between two of the three-headed monster, which stinks. But that's what they had to do in Oklahoma City, and it got them to an NBA final. So,
and I think once you get Tripp back, it makes that a little bit easier as an option that can slide in there.
Conversations in the lineups are going to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, but that's a good place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about A10 play. A quote that stuck with me from the end of the UMBC game. You hear coaches talk about how good their conference is, but Urgo went out of his way and said he feels like it's the best the A10 has been since he's been here. He feels like there's a lot of high major talent throughout the A10. It's one of the reasons he scheduled St. John's at Seton Hall. When you look at the Sunshine Slam, which is going to be Penn State and either Clemson or San Francisco, both kind of like perennial tournament teams. Clemson, according to the KenPom right now, is around the top 25. Those are going to be those are real teams. Two other really strong tests. But you think back to 2 years ago, that special record-breaking team, they stepped up to the test. You think back that Tulane winner. You just think about the games where you felt like they could hang with those teams that were far above them in the rankings, so to speak. That's going to be the early test, because I think the A10, it's still a gauntlet. Dayton's really strong. VCU's really strong. They're the preseason favorites. So even if Fordham is better than the 14th ranking that they were given, that's still a really tough conference to play in.
Let's go through this Fordham schedule and highlighting some key points here. Obviously, they open the season Monday, November 4th against St. John's, then the following Saturday against Seton Hall. I think I want to skip down to the Sunshine Slam against Penn State, and then either Clemson or San Francisco. That's a tournament that you guys are going to be lucky enough to attend down in Daytona Beach. But I think a tournament like that definitely provides an opportunity to see, number one, for the group to bond, to go on a trip like that in warm weather.
You get to go to the beach.
You get to go to the beach.
That's gonna be great.
It's going to be awesome. But then also to play some really, really high-level competition down there.
This is it's what you ask for now. Football, not basketball, but Fordham football. They challenged themselves with a really difficult non-conference schedule.
And it backfired.
And I think it backfired because they went into conference play 0-5. And it felt like, now there are injuries involved in that, but it really felt like it killed a lot of the heart in that locker room. So it's a two-sided sword, right, where if you play tightly against these teams, you don't have to win any of those 4 games technically, right? You don't have to beat St. John's, Seton Hall, Penn State, Clemson/San Francisco. You play a couple of those games tightly, you come away learning something about yourselves. You get blown out in those 4 games, listen, it's fine to justify it, and you might very well be okay, but that can be a gut punch if it goes the wrong way.
And then primarily after that, Fordham will play the rest of their non-conference schedule at the Rose Hill Gym. There's a trip to Bryan up in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun Arena for December 14th. But then in the new year, New Year's Eve, that is when Atlantic 10 play begins, home against St. Louis and home against St. Bonaventure on January 4th. When you look up and down some of these home games that Fordham's going to get at the Rose Hill Gym, a couple that catch my eye, Dayton, February 12th, Wednesday, 7 p.m., it's what Will Richardson was saying earlier about if the team is good, the gym's going to be packed. So you look down at the schedule, some of these games you feel like you could potentially, if this Fordham team clicks in the way that I think the 3 of us think they have the potential to click this season, that we could be getting some insane atmospheres at the Rose Hill Gym.
Yeah, you just get a little win streak going. You never know what can happen, man. Like there were some Rose thrill-like games, last season. Overtime versus Wagner. Then everyone came out for Cornell that Saturday. We lost. Then you pack the stadium. Honestly, NJIT, it was a pretty decent crowd for a Wednesday night at home. You lose there. You can't lose versus NJIT. And then and by the time conference rolled around, it was just like we lost to CCSU at that point too. Sorry for but like the Fordham Rams had lost to CCSU at the time.
But the university felt it. That's why we say we
that's why
felt
we say
that.
the university. But I don't know. There's a definite way to build momentum. I mean, they had one loss non-con 2 years ago.
Yep.
So there's a certain way you can build momentum. It's like Noah's Ark. If you build it, they will come.
That's also Field of Dreams. But yes, I both ways. I think back to remember the ESPN2 game against Duquesne?
That was
like,
bumping.
That was I don't want to say
Friday night in America.
I don't think that the crowd necessarily willed them to a win. I think that takes away from what the players did on the court. But I think there was a tangible effect, and I think the fact that Urgo and the players talk about the crowd all the time, they believe there's a tangible effect in the Rose Hill Gym and when that crowd is bumping. A lot of the home games, they didn't necessarily give the fans reason to give that energy. Some of those home games, the crowd was there, the energy wasn't, and that's because the games either weren't exciting or they weren't close or Fordham just didn't play sharp basketball. If Fordham's in close games and they're exciting close games, even if they lose a couple, I think you're going to see the Rose Hill Gym revert back to closer what it was 2 years ago. I think there is some excitement around 100 years in the Rose Hill Gym. You're going to have alums coming back that maybe hadn't come back the past couple of years, people going, I got to get out to the Rose Hill Gym. I went to Fordham. It's 100 years. I got to go.
We got to get Denzel.
Gotta get Denzel in the building. Need him here yesterday.
Lana Del Rey, please pull up.
But yeah, so I think there's a lot of reasons why you could very easily talk yourself into Rose Hill Gym's going to have a resurgence.
And I think at this point, guys, last year was last year, and I think the 3 of us are very excited to be broadcasting Fordham men's basketball this upcoming season. I think there's a lot of things to be happy about, a lot of things to be excited about as they open the season away against St. John's on Monday. But for Nick Guzman, Lou Orlando, and Chaz McAdams saying so long for this Fordham men's basketball season preview here on WFUV Sports.
Go Rams.